Peter Drucker, to quote the great Peter Drucker, he went on to say this: trust is congruence between what you say and what you do. Let's think about that this week. Does the walk match the talk? Are you congruent in your actions? There was a 2018, so we're talking a few years ago, there was a 2018 white paper that was produced by the Dale Carnegie Research Institute. And the name of the white paper was this: Trust is Dead, Long Live Trust. Why long-term customer loyalty is still driven by trusted relationships. And in this research, they interviewed more than 1,600 customers around the world. And they asked them how they would describe trust in their salesperson. And the top two answers to an open-ended question. And the question was this: how would you define trust? And it centered on two themes. And this is what they got back from the customers they had interviewed. One was 50% of them said, I can believe them. They are honest, credible, and knowledgeable. And then 25% went on to say this: they're looking out for my best interest and providing value. So here's what I'd like for us to think about as you key in on the quote that I had shared with you from Peter Drucker around congruency. Are you being honest, credible, and knowledgeable, or just for the deal's sake? Are you looking after your client's best interest and providing value, or just for the deal's sake? When the walk doesn't match the talk in a post-trust world, many in sales are going to revert to price discounting as their means to providing so-called value. Now, here's what's interesting about that research that the Dale Carnegie Research Institute did. They went on to say this: 71% of respondents said they would rather buy from a salesperson they completely trusted than one who gave them a lower price. Again, congruency. Here's what I would like for us to think about. There's an age-old phrase, we've heard it before. It's going to be used well into the future. Talk is cheap, and it still carries truth. You see, as a salesperson, you can say anything you want to, but your words take on a whole nother meaning when they're backed up by your actions. Unfortunately, I'm concerned and I'm quite saddened that we become a society where truth is foreign and lies are norm. Let's apply this to sales. Just because you can say something really doesn't mean anything at all. You see, a salesperson, any salesperson out there can talk. And we all know there's a lot of talkers out there. But it takes a sales professional of character, integrity, and wholesomeness to follow through in their actions. To quote Dr. Steve Maraboli, he went on to say this: most people will talk the talk. Few will walk the walk. Be amongst the few. Again, does your walk match your talk? Furthermore, let's think about this in the world that we live in today. Does the way that you carry yourself online match the way you carry yourself offline? Furthermore, does the way you carry yourself out in the community and out in your marketplace, is that the way you carry yourself with your clients? Are you carrying yourself in a congruent state to best serve your clients? Now let's loop this all. We're going to loop this all, and thank you for hanging out with me this week. Now let's loop this all back into trusted client relationships. You see, trust can be earned or lost through your actions. How many of your clients, and furthermore, how many of your future clients are watching your actions, or for that matter, your inactions? So please key in on this. If your actions, hone in on this with me. If your actions are not congruent with what you say, then how legitimate are you through the lens of your client's eyes? Oftentimes here at Selling from the Heart, you've heard me say authenticity is a lifestyle. It's not a light switch. The same can be said for congruency. See, congruency isn't about big actions. It's about the little things. In a post-trust world, congruency is the trust builder. Congruency leads to deep connection. It leads to conversation. It leads to deep conversation, and it leads to attraction. I'm going to ask you all to think about this. Is how are you salespeople? How are salespeople perceived in the market right now? We all know this. We know where trust sits. It's anemically low. It's anemically low. Now, let's think about that word congruency. Does your walk match your talk? Isn't it interesting that many of your clients, they're not going to read this, and this all plays out because we've all experienced it. Your clients, they don't remember all the glorious, wonderful things that you do. In some instances, they do. And I think you know where I'm tracking with this. Unfortunately, sometimes they just remember the littlest of little things. You said you'd get them something back to them by Monday at noon. And Tuesday or Wednesday goes by and they haven't received it. You mentioned that you would get a client or a future client something back by a certain date, and it didn't happen. Though those are little tiny things, congruency is about the little things. Again, how many remember all the big, wonderful, glorious things that you all do? I know they remember it, but little things matter. If you can't do the little things correctly, you'll never be able to do the big things correctly. Does the walk match the talk? And that's what I want us to think about this week in a post-trust sales world. It's about being congruent, and it's about bringing your authentic self to the forefront. Because when you bring your authentic self to the forefront, there is no competition. There is no competition. Remember that this week. I sincerely appreciate each and every one of you, because together we are building this movement. And that movement's selling from the heart. It's about bringing your authentic self to the forefront. It's about bringing sincerity. It's about bringing deep business substance. It's leaning into your clients and your future clients. Here at Selling from the Heart, we call that giving a rip, because your clients and your future clients would rather connect and do business with a sales professional who sells from the heart as opposed to a sales rep who is an empty suit. Have an amazing week.